Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We're back again with our InfoSec Girls Meet, and as you saw that we've started with a lot of new sessions this year, and today we're going to be talking about unveiling vulnerabilities in the modern APIs using GraphQL, and this will be done by Yakshita. So let me actually get her in the call, and then we'll talk about her and what she's going to be talking about. Hi Yakshita,
Hi, ma'am. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good too. So excited for the talk, the session.
We Yeah, we are equally excited. So, why don't you introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you'll be speaking?
Yeah, definitely. So, hi everyone. Good evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are. So, this is Yakshita Sharma, currently working as a security consultant in Payatu and a core member of the Vinja community. So, today we will go with some roller coaster ride with the GraphQL. Not exactly a roller coaster guide. We can say it's just a simple vulnerability, and we have to just try to understand the basics. Like we know the basics and everything get easy, so that's all. So I just wanted to say everyone be relaxed, have a cup of tea, coffee, juice, water, anything, whatever you want, sit behind, relax, and just enjoy the discussion. That's all. um, so yeah, let's start then.
Amazing. Great. Let me get your slides in and we can get started. Over to you,
Yeah,
Yakshita.
definitely. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
So um, everyone will start with a GraphQL that unwilling vulnerabilities in modern APIs. What is API? Like it's just a normal thing to just transfer the data and all. And what is GraphQL? It's just an API. It's a kind of API only. So we just have to understand what is GraphQL, how it's actually work, and the like in day to day life you may come across with a REST APIs, normal APIs, someone have developed the API. So the security is like a most important part. So we just start with the basics and we'll go with some of the vulnerabilities, how we can pen test. And I hope at the end of the session you guys will be like confident about how we can start. So let's begin. Okay, so what all we will cover here is what is GraphQL, GraphQL endpoints. So whenever we go and test the APIs and something, we have some path for the endpoints like API, GQL, GraphQL. We'll discuss that how we can enumerate that those endpoints, and then we'll go for the GraphQL operations. How this GraphQL is actually working. So mainly we have two operations: query and mutation, and one more is there which is subscription. We will discuss about that in soon. Now then we'll discuss about the tools, how what are the tools we can use and how we can use this to test our pen test journey or bug bounty or anything whatever you are doing with a thing. So how what are the tools we can use. Then approach, everyone have their common approach while the testing. uh, we start with enumeration, then we'll go for some exploitation part, so that we will discuss some common approach. And definitely after the session go for the topic, search behind and search about how you can improve those things, how you can automate the thing. So that we'll discuss, and at the end we have a demo. For that I will use the DVGA, damn vulnerable GraphQL application. And on that, like I just now installed before the session, so we'll go together and we'll hunt that, like how we can go there. So GraphQL was developed by the Facebook, and it's just a normal API. Like many of the companies use GraphQL, like GitHub, Facebook, Spotify, and all Netflix. So there we can go and just go for the pen test. Uh, what's the main difference between the GraphQL and REST API? Like we come across on the REST APIs, for each operation we have a different endpoints. Suppose we want to do the delete operation, that have one a specific endpoint for that. But GraphQL we just have one endpoint, and we can we frame our queries and we'll go further. So this is the main difference only, that's all. So we just have to try to understand the syntax, that will do soon. Where to find GraphQL? um, Normally we have a simple application and we have to find the endpoints, like if that application is actually using a GraphQL or what type of APIs they are using. So mainly we go the slash API. If you saw on your pen test or any, like if you are using the simple application, you may saw that there is some slash APIs path. So there we can find like normal how we can find. And one, we have a common checklist for that word list, we can say. We can use that, hunt that, brute force that by using the search and any tool. Here we will use the Graphql, like that already have a predefined word list, and using that we will try to enumerate the GraphQL endpoint. As we saw, we discussed like we will go through the GraphQL operations. What is actually operations here? Just we have to do the work. That thing, that query can do the work. That is the operations. So there are mainly two type of operations. One is queries and another one is mutations. Query is mainly used to fetch the data. Just if we see like SQL, we have some statement, select star from users where and the condition. So it's just giving us the data. That's all. We are not updating anything there. We are just seeing the data. We are just fetching the data. So queries are used to just fetch the data. Mainly we use the queries to try to introspect enumeration, like try to understand what all can be there. So for that we use that mostly information disclosure things we can get from the queries. Mutations is to, if we want to update the data, so we use the mutations. Again we take the SQL query, that thing that we want to update. Suppose we want to update the username. If someone have logged in and we want to update that username and password on the database, so we have the different query for that. Similarly, GraphQL have a different queries to just update the data. So let's have an example with the query. As we can see here, there is a paste. If we can see, it's similar look like a JSON data, like similar to JSON data. Is it actual the syntax? What we are doing, we are just fetching the data from the paste. Paste, we can say any post on the application. There, I want the post is public, means public should be true, and the limit I just want the three post. So, and I want the post ID, title, and IP address. So this is the thing, and I'm just fetching the data. That's all. Okay. In previous slide, we just fetched the data, but now if we want to create the paste, how we can do that? So here we can say is a mutation. We just saw that mutation is used to update the data. I have defined that title should be there, content, public, if it's public or not. Burn is like after one did it should burn, like no one other can see that. And here we are defining the variables, like burn should be false and all. Something that I will define here, whatever is required, and we have just given till here. Like we can say create paste till here, they created the data. But now if we want to see that the actual data is created and we just want to see some of the parameters like a ID, content, title, we can see from here. Um, and we can see that it's that data is created and the ID is assigned, the content is there what we have provided, like this is a test paste, which is provided here. The title and the burn is false, it means it will not burn after the read. So this is the mutations. Okay, so for the demo thing, for the practice thing, as I mentioned, we will use a vulnerable lab, DVGA, and there are some steps. This is a good lab to practice. I will definitely suggest after the session, go explore there, try to understand the vulnerabilities. So you can locally host on your system and you can try that. Tools we will use in the GraphQL was Alter, GraphQL introspection unmap script, GraphHoof, GraphQL Warger, InQL, SQL Map, Bubsuite, Postman. I think most of the tools like Bubsuite you're already aware. If you do the web pen testing, it's a proxy. Like we just proxying the request and just send the response, and we whatever we wanna change there, we do there. Postman, we know, like whenever we talk about the APIs, the postman is the first part will come across, like the for the collection of the postman documentation. And we'll see what is alter, GraphQL introspection and map query and map script we will see, and the graph we'll see there. Okay, first we will go through the one common approach. After the demo, again we'll come here and we'll again read. I hope that time you will identify the what's actually happening. So whenever, just a simple thing, whenever we start with any pen testing, we start with the enumeration part. Any pt, any bug bounty research, anywhere, I wanna mention that enumeration should be the one of the most base important part of the anything whatever we are doing. And if it's strong, then further part become easy. So I will definitely say enumerate the thing how much it's possible, have a notes, and use that further. So in exploitation you can find them, like if you use them and you have the idea, if it's not working I can go this part. So this is the thing, enumeration is the most important part here. We say introspection as a enumeration is just a similar to enumeration. We just introspect, we identify how it's actually working. uh, Sometime what's happened, introspect is off, that time we try to understand the errors, and we try to understand the parameters from the errors, and we use them for our further exploitation part. And the common vulnerabilities we should test on each and every API on a GraphQL is business logic. Like suppose I am the normal user and some I can get the access of the admin. So there is a flow. So we have to identify the business logic for each point. Check for common vulnerabilities like DOS, information disclosure, IDOR, and injection. Injection include accesses, SQL injection, and all. Remember, the important part of the GraphQL is syntax. If syntax is correct, you are trying to understand the GraphQL queries, then the testing become easy. Like everything is available, just we have to understand the things. So let's start with our demo part. Okay, so as I mentioned, um, we can use that, we can locally host that DVG application on our system. Like here I host with Docker and I already running that. This is the actual application. Yeah. Um, Whenever we see the application, I suggest just try to understand what this application is about. Scroll here and there, go, and this is a starting part. So just I have a home here, which is telling about what is GraphQL, how we can start the GraphQL, and some basic guides. So you can definitely go through that. And the what is GraphQL video, some suggestions are also there. We can after the session you can try to explore that. Then here we have some private paste. It looks like similar to some post, like it should be private something. Um, we have some public paste. Someone have like uploaded. Okay, so private paste may be the user who is login and they have uploaded, and the public paste is like someone have just given their comment and all and just uploaded. Here we can create our own paste. That is nice. One thing, whenever we scroll the application, whatever we're doing, just on your proxy. So whatever you're doing, you can capture that, and further, and next you can identify what's actually going on. So let me check is everything is working fine. Yep, I hope so. Let's start. Let's create a normal paste. Title, it should be public and testing. Let's do one after read. Submit. Well done. Paste was created successfully and check it off with everything. Yeah, we are okay with that. It's working fine. We can create the paste, we can import the paste, and we can upload paste somewhere. Okay, we have the upload functionality as well. Okay, again, let's come on the slides. Tools we will use. If you can see here the NQL tools, this is the burp extension that we will use to just query our data. Let me show you how it will look. Go to the repeater. This is actually a GraphQL tool. That is a InQL. So here is we can see what while we are creating the paste, we are sending the data and we can able to fetch as well that how it's actually look like. Suppose I'm just removing the title. I don't want to see the title. Just I'm interested in content ID and burn. Then it will just provide me that ID, content and burn. One of the tool we have mentioned is alter that we will use. Let's introduce with that. Yep. So this is the actual tool. That is the alter. Here we have to define uh, our endpoint where we want to check, and so we have to enumerate it. Still we are not still enumerated the endpoint. This is a like main starting part. Without that we can't start with the just a queries and just introspection. We have to enumerate the endpoint and then we can start. So here we have the docs. First we will go with one of the tool that is GraphQL Vigor, and after that we will come up again with the docs and it will become easy for the like. So as I mentioned, we can brute force the endpoints and we can identify like how it's actually working. So there is one tool which we'll use is a graph. So here we have the syntax at Python. I'm using the tool I have locally downloaded. You can also you do that. And my GraphQL application is running on localhost 5013. Let's start with this. Uh, yeah, as we can see, it's found the GraphQL endpoint is 5013 like slash GraphQL, and we can enumerate it the GraphQL engine as well. So whenever you can see these type of thing like what engines they are using and the versions, go there, Google it, and try to find how it's actually working. Let's start with that endpoint now. Hmm, GraphQL. Let's see what is giving. Must provide query string. It means if we are doing the GraphQL, like we have to give some query. It can be mutation or normal query to just searching or fetching the data. I am just trying to fetch the name and fields of the paste from the application. So as we can see here, and it's bit we are getting it bit difficult to identify the things. So just go here, alter, and let's start with the introspection part because we already identified the endpoint. It's working fine, and we just saw that yeah, we can give any query and we can get the data. So just start with the introspection part. Hmm. Okay, so my first query to introspect is I want to identify if I can query the data. I can do the mutation and I can do the like a subscription. So We already discussed about what is query mutation. Then what is subscription? So subscriptions are commonly used in scenarios such as a real-time messaging applications, live feeds, and any other situation where real-time data updates are required. Yeah, maybe some glitch. Just send the request, and we can identify, okay, we are allowed to do queries as well, we are allowed to do mutations as well, and subscriptions as well. Now I want to see on what names and fields I can do those things. So for that, let again do the frame the queries and check for the data. Okay. As we can see, we can query the fields like paste, system update, and all. Okay. Here we can see some interesting things like a create user, login. We'll see if we can do something with those things, and we can manipulate the data. Here we can do mutations. Okay. Mm, and we can do query on the me. What is me? Okay, we'll see. We'll definitely enumerate that. Uh, okay, so there is one um, um, introspection query on Hectrix. Normally, I use that like to introspect the data, and I upload those on GraphQL Worker. We'll see that how I do that. Um, GraphQL introspection. We'll use Hectrix. Hmm. Here you can find like this is also a good guide to start your testing. So here you can see again like we have the common endpoints that we can go further, and the defining the type as well, how it's actually working. Nice one. Great. Animating data schema by the introspection. Okay, we can use this whole query, and uh, uh, we can try to upload this thing data on the GraphQL Worker. Oh, it's a too long query. Nice one. I think we can get all the data. Let's send the request. As we can see the response, it's too long. Like it's too long to check and sit and identify what is actually happening here. Like it may around thousands of lines. Oops, 2000s. Okay. So what we can do with these types of data, we have one graphical presentation of those type of tools. Okay, give me a minute. We have GraphQL Voyager. Sorry, Voyager. So what this tool is actually do, as we got the data, it's like difficult to identify how it's actually working and what's happening on the backend. So to identify the what's the flow of the data, we can use this tool, and this give us the graphical overview of the data, whatever we get by the our enumeration or introspection. Let's copy all the data. Control C. Go to the change schema, introspection, and paste. Make sure everything is like pasted properly. Display. Just go to console. Hmm. We are getting some error. It means there is some issue with our query. Let's try to analyze those. Okay. So that query is not able to identify the directives. Let's remove this part. Hmm, just copy the response, and again let's go to the tool. Control A, Control V, display. Yeah, it's working now. So as you can see, uh, what's the flow of the data? Like we have a paste which is in paste object, and we can query the paste which is public or not. Like we saw in the paste, we can query and we can give the data if it's public or not. We can search the paste object. Paste objects is the like paste, okay, and we can have a owner ID, IP address, okay. So whoever is given in a paste object, they can query all those things. Here we can see we are seeing the query. If we can go for the mutation, we can create the paste, and create paste is going here. What all can create like paste, and what all data we can give. So this is just a graphical presentation of how the GraphQL actually works. And as I show you, after seeing this GraphQL worker, we will go to the docs part of the alter. Let's go for the alter. Okay, it's working a bit slow. Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay, so let's go to the query. As we can see, here also we can see what all data we can query, and what all data we can mutate, and what all data we can like do the subscription. So here the we saw previously, like while we are doing our introspection on enumeration part, we saw this me. And if I go here and add the query, just we have to remove that and just add that, send the request. Hmm. We have to give not enough segments, okay. We have to give the token. For that we have to create the user, I think. Mutations, we can create the user. String, just a password. Okay, so slowly we are going for our exploitation part. Uh, Before that, I think we should go and check it out if we can enumerate further things, and then we'll come back here. We just noted down like we saw this thing, and we should go like after the flow, like whatever we have to check. After that, we should check it out those things. Hmm. As we saw, we have a create paste. Okay, this is a paste we actually creating here. And here as we can see, we are giving the variables. um Suppose I am giving the content which contains the some of the injection. Suppose I am giving the SQL injection, alter mm, new post script. We are just closing the script tag. We just send. Oh, it's created successfully. Just try to go to the browser. It's true, public is true. Okay, we are creating the public one. Let's again intercept the request. Testing. Let's do the private one now. Testing infosec girls. Let's go with the infosec girls. Hmm. Just go to the repeater. QL. Try with the content script. New post script. Send the request. We can see it's created successfully with the content of alert, which is our payload of the accesses. Let's check if it's execute. We can execute that. See, we can see that once we clicked on that public paste, no, once we click on the private paste, that script we have given, we have entered is executed. Like that, we can go and test for the other injection type like command injection and SQL injection. So just play with the variables. Hmm, that is nice. And we just gone through that alter and we have introspected the data, and from that we have identified data. So just closely look the data. It may give some information disclosures. And one more thing which I so you like suppose the introspection is off and again we want to fetch the data. That time what we can do, just I don't know anything about suppose the application. Yeah, I know, I just can query. Let's do the query and give anything like random data and just
Yakshita, can we zoom it a bit if it's okay?
yeah, sure ma'am, this is fine.
Yeah, better than before.
Okay, sure. Now send the query, and as we can see on the error messages, there is like cannot query field some junk data on type query. Okay, and suppose just I give okay, this means is not exist. Normal query will go for the system and now send. Oh, okay. We can get that. Cannot query the field system on the type query. Did you mean paste? Paste and system debug, system update. So we got some suggestions. So by using those suggestions, we can go further and we can identify the actual path and actual data, how it's actually working. So this is also one part of the introspection. Um, we will go with DOS attack as well, but we will go at the end because after that my application will go down definitely. So uh, after the some more enumeration part, we'll go further. As we saw previously here, again identify the docs and again just analyze our docs. Mm, let's create some user. Let's create user infosec girls. Email we can give anything. Just we wanna test if we can create something. Test at test.com. Password as infosec girls. Just let's create one user, and as we can see we are able to successfully create that the user as a infosec girls with a password of infosec girls. What I will do, I want to try if I can be a admin and I can get the admin details from this user. So for that, let's check for the login part if it's successfully created or not. Infosec girls. Sorry for the inconvenience. Like this tools is running bit slow. Authentication failure. This may be small. Let's try to create another user again. Sec girls one mail ID. Let's give some password as a string only, I think. So that will be get easy. Okay. Just send and it's happen. Okay. Search. Let's remove that again. Try to log in. So everything like try hit and trial is the main part of the testing research and everything. Whatever you get, just try each and everything and try to understand how's the things actually working. Mhm. Oh god, this tool. Token, string, username, password. Sorry. Anyway, now just send. Nice. As we can see, after the login, we receive some access token and fresh token, refresh token. So let's try to analyze it. Access token. For that, I will use that jwt.io. While it's loading, let's identify the further things. Go back. Here we can see there is one me table. So maybe we can just query ourselves, like user details. I feel we can do those things from here. Let's try to identify first how it's actually working. So what we can see here, this JWT token contain the type access identity which we have created with the infosec girls, and it invalid signature. So let's forget about the signature right now and just do the normal test cases of the JWT we normally do on our normal pen testing. So let's enumerate, see about that, where we can use the token and we can identify about some other users, or we can enumerate the details of the users. What's happening this? Okay. Hmm. Me, I think we require token of the user, and after giving the token, we can identify ID, username, and password. And one more thing here, if you just go on the me, like we can see what type of actually the argument we have to pass, which is required, like a token we can pass. The type is a user object, and what all field we can query, that is like ID, username, and password. Here, let's go with the token, this one only. Let's see, try to identify if we can query the data of the infosec girls. Send the request. Yes, we can identify that ID of the infosec girls is 5 and the password which is not visible, strange maybe. Let's try to give the here, like whenever I get the identity or the username or the roles type, I just trying to get the high privilege user, which is an administrator. So let's try with some admin user and just copy the JWT token and identify if we can give, and we can get the admin user details. Paste, send the request, null. Okay, maybe there is no admin. Admin, administrator. Sorry, it should be there is a typo. It should be admin. Hmm. Send the request. Yes, we can see the data of the admin whose ID is 1. Okay. And which means our ID is 5. Like maybe there is around 5 more users, including us. So that we can do that our identifications, and we can identify some of the users. And the username we can enumerate it, and the password we have enumerated, which is a change me. So rather than that of the GraphQL Voyager, once you have able to identify the how the actually thing is working, then this docs is also good to identify like how we can query the data. So as I said like previously, the enumeration is the most important part, and after enumerating we can go further and further, and we can exploit the data. As here we got that admin access, but remember, it's just a vulnerable lab. And as I mentioned, we'll try the DOS attack as well. So this is the time to try the DOS attack. Um, let's try this query. What I'm doing here, I'm just querying to the local host with a GraphQL endpoint which we have enumerated. I am giving the header, the content type as we are providing the JSON data, and I'm querying the system health. I'm giving this two time to see uh, how many time I'm getting the response, and just enter. The response I'm getting is a twice, which is a data system health, system load, okay, 1.23, and the same data I have queried again, and I'm getting the same data in the response. It means, suppose if I query it around 1000, 2000 times, or maybe a millions times, then it may stuck. Like, it may take a time and can down the servers as well. So let's try and identify. Copy. I'm just giving us bit time, maybe a post body center invalidation. Okay, we'll try with this only, and just copy this and giving like around how many time we can, so we can see the timings data, and that may be stuck as well. Now let's enter. Okay, it's give the same data, but if we give more time, then it should stuck bit, like it take bit time. See, it took bit time, and then we got the our actual data. So how we can do this as a millions, or like queries, and it may down to the servers as well. So this is the thing we can enumerate, and definitely I will suggest go through the application. There are many things, like I suggest go through the Podseeker GraphQL data, like GraphQL labs. These are also good things. And the GVD application, which is like DBG application, which is a good start for the pen testing. And I hope now you may be comfortable to start as well, and to go for your testing in your life, which is like a bug bounty or the research area. So I hope you can use that. And you have any queries, you can connect me anywhere, like on Twitter, LinkedIn. So yeah, thank you everyone. It was like awesome discussion with you and the session. Thank you so much everyone.
Thank you so much, Akshita. I think that was wonderful. Do you
Thank
want to
you.
share anything further?
I just wanted to say, just go and start, don't stop here. Like, just go research. Like, this is the actual fun of the applications. And I will suggest go live and decide to how the actual thing is working. That's the main fun. Yeah,
I totally
that's all.
agree.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to reach out to you after the session to know more about the topic. And the demos
yeah,
were
yeah.
totally amazing. I am
Thank you.
sure I look forward to learning a lot more than just this thing, because I know you have a lot of other demos as well. But during the time crunch, we had to close this. So thank you so much, Yakshita, for sharing wonderful insights today.
Thank you, Anna. It's like awesome to give a presentation here in the session. The great thing.
Thank you so much. And I hope to meet you soon again. And have a wonderful
Same
day.
here. Thank you, ma'am. You too.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for joining us today. And we'll see you again in the next session. Take care.